Today's episode is brought to you by Microsoft Dragon Copilot, your AI assistant for clinical workflow, which helps to ease administrative burdens. We don't like those.
They are the
Those
worst.
are terrible.
There are way too many in healthcare.
Automatically document care, streamline workflow, and just help you build a good patient-physician relationship. That's what it's all about. Learn about how Dragon Copilot can transform the way you work. Visit aka.ms/knock-knock-hi. Again, that's aka.ms/knock-knock-hi.
Knock, knock, hi.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Knock Knock I with me, your host, Dr. Glaucomflecken, your one-stop shop for all things eyeballs. Dr. Glaucomflecken, a recent inductee into the Deer Park High School Hall of Honor. That's right. This is one of my greatest accomplishments. I wanted to share it with all of you. I have a lot of people to thank, which is why I want to do this today. So we're gonna have a little bit of a different episode today. This is coming out around Thanksgiving, and so I thought, why don't I, just thank some of the people that have been on my mind lately. I have so many people that I should give thanks to year in, year out in different areas of my life. People that I still talk to daily. People that I haven't talked to in years and that have helped me along the way. And some people I've been thinking about a lot lately. And so this is like a little special Thanksgiving episode. It's all positive vibes today. All right. We're not getting into the healthcare system. We're not complaining about stuff today. This is let's just be happy. Let's just enjoy our each other's time today. And and just give thanks. This is about giving thanks. All right. So, over about 4 days ago, I went to my hometown in Deer Park, right outside of Houston, about 20 minutes outside of Houston. If you fly into Houston and you drive southeast, you get on Highway 225. When you start seeing the permanent glow of the oil refineries on the Houston Ship Channel, Shell, ExxonMobil, Lubrizol, all the things. That's where Deer Park is. It's nestled in right there in the shadow of all these giant oil refineries. And I is a town of about, I don't know, 40,000 people or so. I did all my schooling in Deer Park, Texas. I moved there when I was 3 and lived there until I left for college. My parents still live there. And so what they've decided to do every year for the past, like, I don't know, 15 years or so, is every year they induct people into the Hall of Honor, the High School Hall of Honor. Now, this is a massive school. I had 1,000 kids in my graduating class. It is a 6A school. Back when I was in high school, they only went up to 5, but I guess there are enough giant schools now, at least in Texas, that they ramped it up to 6A. So it's 6A, huge. So like 4 or 5,000 students in high school in Deer Park. And so it's a huge school. So they've had a lot of graduates, obviously. And so enough that every year they can find, like, 2, 3, sometimes 4 people that have done some good in the world, and they want to celebrate by bringing them into the Hall of Honor. And so right as you walk in through the front door of the school, there are these like nice, I don't know what they're made of, but these plaques that they've like laser etched, basically a picture of the person and like a little description of what they've done and accomplished and things. So just to give you an idea of the most famous people that have gone to my high school, Andy Pettitte, who is a pitcher for the New York Yankees. He won I think a couple World Series titles. And then the other person that I like to cite is Chelsea Smith, who in I think 2005 was Miss Universe. We have a Miss Universe graduate. She sadly passed away, I think about 10 years ago, from liver cancer at a young age. So very sad, but she's forever memorialized in the Deer Park High School Hall of Honor. And we've had, I think, probably every single superintendent's there, a handful of firefighters, like local heroes and people that have gone on to do things, nationally as well. And there's a couple other physicians as well. And so I heard that I was nominated for this earlier this year, and I was like very excited. Like it may not seem like a big deal, but I don't know. There's something about like being recognized by the town that you grew up in as someone who's done some cool things, and that they're proud of you. They're proud of what you've accomplished. It's like not just your parents. It's like your whole town that raised you. It feels really cool. And so I was excited, happy to go back. And it was a wonderful event. It was like a perfect mix of nostalgia and more nostalgia. It was so I go in dressed up. I'm wearing a suit, and my parents are with me, and two of my childhood friends, including the best man at my wedding, Joseph, who got me into stand-up comedy. First person I'd like to thank actually right now, Thanksgiving. Thanks to my best friend Joseph, who I learned that he started doing stand-up comedy. I was like, oh, can I tag along? And I think we were 18 and 19 years old. He's a year older than me. And we'd go to the Laugh Stop in Houston, which is a comedy club that went out of business with the pandemic, unfortunately. But it was a great place. So many famous, funny people. Bill Hicks frequented this place. It was a stop for all the big touring comedians. And Harris Whittles, who people might not know who Harris Whittles is, but he was a writer and executive producer on Parks and Rec. A very, very funny guy. He was a local legend, Harris Whittles. And and just so many great comedians came through that place. And we would go every week and do stand-up comedy. Joseph, my friend, was always so much funnier than me. Like he really put a lot of time and effort into that craft. Uh, kind of setting himself on a path to doing it as a career, before eventually deciding to go a different way into education, and got married and had kids. And but he had some great success. Me, on the other hand, I was just always a hobby. I had some moments, but also eventually decided, comedy wasn't for me. It seemed really hard, so I went the much easier route of becoming a doctor. And and so I Joseph was there at this event, the Hall of Honor induction ceremony. And as was another friend of mine from childhood, Jeff. Their spouses came, and my sister was there, my brother was there. It was a family affair. I had a cousin that showed up. It was great. It was great. And so I walk in, and it's a dinner, and the dinner is happening in the high school cafeteria. And I would have been thrilled if they served us. I didn't know what they were going to serve us. I kind of wanted it to be traditional high school cafeteria fare. Like, give me a basket of fries and some chicken nuggets that are kind of cold. Like, how about one of those square pizzas? You guys have the square pizzas? Or like a cookie that has been like under a heat lamp for hours, like in plastic, just baking in this plastic that's like almost melted. I probably have so many microplastics in my body from high school cafeteria lunches over the years. Like give me that. I want the whole experience. I'm coming back to high school after 20 years of never stepping foot in that building. I'm coming back. I want the experience. I want everything. But unfortunately, no, they had a nice catered meal from like a local restaurant, which was great. It was fine. It was a wonderful, delicious, man. But I could have used some loose kernel corn. They call it loose kernel as opposed to on the cob, free kernel. I don't know what you call it. Anyway, just the corn, that school corn. I want a little side salad that's all iceberg lettuce. and like little tiny thin ribbons of a carrot. I want a what was my drink? Fruitopia. You guys remember Fruitopia? I want a Fruitopia that they probably don't even make anymore. Or Hawaiian Punch. That was also good. I loved Hawaiian Punch. That was great stuff. But yeah, it's okay. That's all right. It's all right. So it was a good meal. Another fun wrinkle was that the ushers, the people that took us to our table and also served us the food, the cheerleading squad. It was great. And then they also had the high school orchestra, the symphony orchestra for the high school. They were playing music throughout the dinner. It was amazing. But the highlight for me, and I promise that, and the reason I want to do this whole thank you episode is because of who else was there. I show up, and the first person I lock eyes with and I see is my 12th grade English teacher, Mr. Sample. And it's so funny because I'm a 40-year-old man, and I know the guy's first name, and I went up to be like, Mr. Sample. Hi, Mr. I introduced Mr. Sample to my family. It, it, it's always like, is Mr. He's Mr. Sample to me, right? And so and it's funny to think about because 20 years have passed, and the guy was probably my age whenever I was in his class, and which really makes you think about your own mortality a bit there. But anyway, I was so happy to see him because of all my teachers. I have different teachers that set me on a path to doing different things. He was he was really like the biggest influence that I had when it comes to like really pursuing comedy, specifically comedy writing. So in his class, he's a very sarcastic person, which I love. I gravitate toward sardonic, sarcastic, witty people. I love hanging around those types of people, and that was him to a T. And but it was 12th grade AP English class, so we did the usual things. We had to read The Great Gatsby. We had to read the Pride and Prejudice, and I didn't connect with it. I didn't put forth my best effort in doing like the all the essays and the talking about it, the literary criticism of these classic books. And so I would like put like a bunch of jokes and like sarcastic comments in my essays. And I would, I was kind of I could be a bit of a jerk at times in terms of just like not taking things seriously and just trying to make people laugh. There were days, weeks where like my goal for the class, and I was a good student, so I did all my work, but I really just wanted to crack people up. And so as I was a class clown and for smart kids, I don't know, this is weird. I wasn't a slacker or anything, but that's kind of what I like. The learning was important to me. I wanted to do well, get into a good college, but I also really wanted to like crack people up, make people laugh. So uh, anyway, I would not blame Mr. Sample for seeing my antics in that class as a, a, a senior with burgeoning senioritis at that point, for thinking, oh, this kid's a lost cause. Like, I'm not going to like focus on him. I'm not going to put time and effort. Like the guy's got a master's degree in English literature or criticism or whatever it is. It's like I'm not going to waste my time with this kid who's just telling jokes all the time. He clearly doesn't care about the Pride and Prejudice or Daisy Buchanan and whoever else. Are you impressed? I came up with that name, that character from Great Gatsby. Gatsby. I don't know. I just pulled that out of my brain. I don't remember anything about Pride and Prejudice. Um, I wouldn't blame him, right, for just kind of writing me off. But no, that's not what he did. And instead, he leaned into what I clearly was interested in, which was comedy. You're right. He saw something in my writing and encouraged me. He talked to me and showed me and gave me books, texts of comedic writers. He introduced me to Mark Twain. I knew about Mark Twain, but I didn't realize all I knew about him was through the context of like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. I didn't know he had other writing that was very humorous. And he introduced me to Oscar Wilde, Kurt Vonnegut, these wonderful comedic writers and satirists. And he encouraged me to write. I was interested in satire. I loved The Onion. And so we talked about these things. He connected with me where I was at and also encouraged me to submit my work and to enter into writing competitions. So I remember we went to one, and I did this begrudgingly because I was like, right, why am I doing a writing competition? But he's just like, you got to do it. Basically, didn't give me an option, and which is fine. I was like, okay, all right, you're my teacher, making me do this. So I entered into something called Ready Writing. And basically you go, it's an area wide. So it's like a bunch, like half of Houston goes to this school and you sit in a classroom or a big auditorium, really, everybody who's doing this competition, and you're handed a prompt and you have 45 minutes to write. I think it was 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Anyway, you have a specific amount of time, no preparation. You get a prompt and you write. I don't even remember what the prompt was. I did it and I got third place out of all these people. I don't remember how many people, but I felt very proud of that. And he felt very like, see, I told you, you gotta do stuff like this. Like you're good at this. And so that's the first time I remember like feeling confident in my ability to do comedy. Like I knew I was interested in, and later on I would try stand-up comedy. This is before I even tried stand-up. But that was part of the reason I even had the courage to go and do stand-up comedy, because I thought I could write funny because of what I experienced in his classroom. And you notice none of this has anything to do with medicine. Which is why the humanities are so important, and why I stress that with my kids as well. Like I don't know what they're going to want to do in their life, but if they're doing anything with science, math, any of the hard STEM, engineering, great. That'd be the medicine, awesome. Do all that, but the humanities are important, and it opens up a part of your brain and creativity that's hard to access otherwise. And I'm so grateful for Mr. Sample for not just blowing me off like I was blowing him off and his class off at first, and reaching me in a very unique and special way that really changed the course of my life. Glaucomflecken wouldn't be what it is today without him. Let's take a break. Hey, Kristen, we're going to do something special.
What's that?
In honor of World Antimicrobial Resistance Awareness Week,
Mhm.
this month we're going to spotlight a podcast that's been host to some very powerful conversations about antimicrobial resistance. It's called The Sepsis Spectrum, hosted by Nicole Kupchik.
It's so important to get that information out there to people, and a podcast is a great way to do that.
It really is. Each episode is about confronting different blind spots in sepsis and antimicrobial resistance that just helps educate people. And it's not just fluff. All right, it's not just cold academics and CME. These are real conversations about real stories about real patients. You can listen to the Sepsis Spectrum wherever you get your podcasts, or watch it on Sepsis Alliance's YouTube channel. To learn how you can earn free nursing CE credits just by listening, visit sepsispodcast.org. So anyway, to wrap up my conversation about the Hall of Honor, they said some nice things about me, showed some embarrassing pictures, photos of me from high school. I had very, very big hair. Very curly, very long. I did not keep it short. It's like 3 times as long as the neurologist's hair. It was not pretty. And it was a wonderful night. Let's get to some of the other people I'd like to thank on this Thanksgiving episode. Another teacher, because I've been thinking with this ceremony, I've been reminiscing with my friends from school, other teachers, about the teachers I had. And so I want to talk about Miss Beard. Miss Beard is my German teacher. I took, in my infinite wisdom as a high schooler, I took German in Texas. German. That's the language I chose to learn for 3 years in high school. Where were my parents, everyone? What were they doing? Why? I know I've talked about this before on the podcast. I still can't believe it. They were like, yeah, sure, take German. Spanish is just sitting there. Like, my God, I could use that right now. Yeah, medical. Now, I would love to know. I'm eventually going to have to learn medical Spanish because it's embarrassing how little I know little I know Spanish because it comes up every day in clinic. So anyway, German, but I loved my German teacher. So she was this very kind of almost whimsical in some ways. But what I remember about her, she could get very serious when we were, you know, joking around too much. But she had a wonderful laugh. And so her above other teachers, you know, there were some teachers. One thing I was really good at in school, and I still am now, is knowing where I can push in terms of comedy. Like I feel this, especially when I'm doing shows, when I'm doing keynotes. I can tell, I can feel the audience out and really tell by expressions, by laughter, by what people are responding to, where I can go with my comedy and how far I can take it. Do I need to pull back and try to be a little bit more serious with this, or can I really just go after it and start talking about my testicles? How far can I take this? So I've always been pretty good about reading an audience. And there were some teachers that I knew, like, I can't get away with anything. I'm not even going to try. All right. It's just going to fall flat. I'm just going to get in trouble. But there were some teachers like Miss Beard who I knew I could get away with a lot. And she loved to laugh, and she laughed at me a lot. So I decided to do something one day. Again, I already mentioned my giant hair. So what I did was, while we were learning about like conjugation or something, I gathered up all the pens and pencils that I could find around me, borrowing them from other kids. And one at a time, I hid them in my hair. So again, my hair was big and bushy. It was thick. My hair is really thick and curly. I could hide stuff in it. I learned this. And so one by one, I'd take the pen and pencil, I'd stick it in my hair, stick it in my hair. And then eventually I had all 20 of these things just hidden in my mass of hair. And then what I did was I raised my hand. I had this concerned look on my face. I said, Miss Beard, I got out of my chair. I started kind of like staggering toward the front of the classroom. I was in the back. Just slowly, I was like, Miss Beard, I don't know what's going on. And she started getting kind of concerned. She's like, what's wrong? What, you okay? I was like, I've just got this horrible headache, like worst headache I've ever had in my life. And she was really, oh my God, what do you need to go to the doctor? You need to call somebody? And then I just violently shook my head as hard as I could, and the 20 pens and pencils went flying out of my hair all over the place. And biggest laugh I had all year. She, she was the only teacher I could have gotten away with something like that from. Uh, and and I still remember it. It was just a fond memory of mine from that class. And so thank you to Miss Beard for letting me be myself, and just accepting who I am. All right, other things. I got to give thanks to, so I talked about my friend Joseph, got me into stand-up comedy. Big thanks to him. Thanks to Susan Pepin. So Susan Pepin was my assigned academic advisor when I got to Dartmouth. Now, when I got into med school, I didn't know what kind of doctor I wanted to be. Some med students, they know, All right. They're going to be an ENT doctor who just does the left tympanic membrane. Like we're so subspecialized. Some people know exactly what they want to be. I had no idea. I had to figure it out along the way. But it just so happened that my academic advisor, every student got one, was Susan Pepin, an ophthalmologist. How about that? And I'll never forget this. First day I met her, she said she's an ophthalmologist. I looked at her and I said, "That's eyeballs, right?" She was like, "Yep." She's like, and do you do surgery? Like I didn't even know she's a surgeon. Like what is an ophthalmologist? I'd grown up with perfect eyesight. I never saw an eye doctor. I didn't. And so as we were talking, we got to know each other. She's a wonderful woman. And she's a neuro-ophthalmologist. And eventually she was like, this is very early in my first year. She's like, you know what? She knew I didn't know what I wanted to do. She's like, I could tell just by talking to you, you're going to go away for a while and you're going to do your rotations. You're going to think you want to do all kinds of stuff like cardiology, other, internal medicine, whatever, pediatrics, maybe, but you're going to come back to ophthalmology. I promise you will. And I was like, who is this lady? How can she say that? She doesn't know me. Sure enough, 3 years later, I was back right there in front of her saying, I want to be an ophthalmologist. Can you help me? Can you write me a letter? Man, gift of foresight right there. She knew. So thank you, Susan Pepin, for seeing me as the future ophthalmologist that I became. Other thanks. Thank you to the chief surgery resident. I forget her name, but she was the surgery resident while I was on my required surgery rotation, which was vascular surgery. And the reason I want to thank her, she wasn't particularly nice, but I want to thank her because she really illustrated to me how abused residents and fellows can be, because she operated all night on call after working all day. And she was writing, I remember seeing her, I was standing right behind her or sitting right behind her as she, at like 8 o'clock in the morning, was typing out her procedure note for some kind of appendectomy or something. And she, mid-sentence, fell asleep at the computer. And that really left an impression on me. I was like, oh, I don't want this. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is normal, if this is like widespread, if this is all residency programs, but I know I don't want this one. So I checked general surgery, vascular surgery, all the other surgical fields that I had come in contact with off my list. And fortunately, I didn't check ophthalmology off my list. Very different surgical specialty. But anyway, that really it made my decision a little bit more clear into what kind of life I wanted for myself. And so I hope that person is doing wonderful and having a wonderful career in surgery. But I wasn't made for that type of work. All right. So thank you to that surgery chief resident. All right, let's take one more break, and I've got just a couple more thanks to give out. Hey, Kristen.
Yeah?
You know what it's time for?
What?
More Demodex blepharitis talk.
Yay!
We're not talking about mites today, though.
Okay, phew.
All right. I've mentioned the crusties. Remember the crusties? The collarettes?
Yes, I remember
right? It's a telltale
crusties.
sign of Demodex blepharitis. I just want to educate people that you can't always see these things in the mirror. Sometimes you need magnification, the equipment we use in the eye clinic to be able to diagnose this.
So some people might not even realize it when they have Demodex blepharitis?
Exactly. Often patients don't know they have those crusties and can't connect their symptoms of redness, irritation, itchiness to Demodex blepharitis.
That just sounds like allergies.
It can be. It's also a great time right now to make an appointment with your eye doctor before the end of the year when deductibles reset.
Ooh, good point.
Yeah. To see more pictures of crusties and eyelids with Demodex blepharitis, visit miteslovelids.com. Again, that's miteslovelids.com to learn more. This ad is brought to you by Tarsus Pharmaceuticals. All right, going back in time, I want to shout out the judge for my 4th grade spelling bee. I was like by far the best speller in my class. I was good. In fact, I had the booklets. I was like, man, I might win the national spelling bee. I was never like that serious about it. Those kids are amazing. But I had the booklet that had like all these huge words in it. And I was like, I would drill them with my parents. Like I loved spelling. My kids love it now too. I give them words and challenge them to try to spell it. They love it. Um, and so, but the height of my achievement as a speller came in 4th grade. So we had a school-wide spelling bee, and then I got first place. And so that qualified me to go to the citywide spelling bee, which was like 5 or 6 schools. They all sent their best spellers plus a few other kids. And we all came to City Hall and we had a citywide spelling bee. And I remember this. I got to like maybe the like the last 3 or 4 spellers, and I got the word hymn. Hymn. Now my problem was I didn't ask for like a definition because there's different hymns, right? It's like you can hymn like a sewing hymn or something, or you could like or a church hymn. Um, Regardless, I I spelled the word and I didn't know. I actually didn't know this word. And so I spelled it HYMM, and they passed me. But then the judge, there were like a couple people that were like supposed to speak up if they were disagreed. They said, "Oh, actually, I think he said HYMM instead of HYMN." And they even went so far, they went back and forth. There was like this big like delay in the competition between like 2 people. One person thought I spelled it correctly, HYMN, and the other person said, no, he spelled it HYMM. And they even went to the tape. They were recording the whole thing. So they listened back to me spelling this thing and eventually decided, yes, I did in fact spell it HYMM. And I was kicked out of the spelling bee. I lost. But that left a big impression on me because that was the first time I remember experiencing failure. And it was devastating. It hurt. But I think that was actually looking back on it now, like I cried. Like I was like, felt like a failure, which this is not like, m- mentally a healthy way to deal with it. I mean, I was in 4th grade, but it does illustrate my like perfectionist tendencies that revealed themselves, as I got older. But I think it was good to experience that. And the few other times in my life I have experienced failure, that things have not gone well. And it's just these are things that I can like think to and be like, man, you know what? Like I ended up okay. I think we all need to experience failure at some point. So I appreciate that judge that was like, no, 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 no. No, 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 sir. No, you did not spell him correctly. No, no, you did it wrong. You're out. All right. I appreciate that person, all right, for speaking up and really maintain the integrity of the Deer Park, Texas citywide spelling bee. All right. Next person. I want to thank Gary Fehrenbach, who was my intern year, transitional year program director at Resurrection Medical Center, for accepting me and letting me match at his 1-year program, which was, it's got to be the easiest intern year in the world. Because back then, the intern years it meant nothing to a future ophthalmologist. Right now, they're integrated, right? So you do your intern year. Technically, it's now just combined with the rest of ophthalmology residency, but you're doing some internal medicine stuff. You're doing some of other areas of medicine in addition to some ophthalmology in that first year. That wasn't the case. I applied separately to a 1-year program that could be surgery, it could be pediatrics, it could be internal medicine, it could be a bunch of different things, or a transitional year where you kind of do like a bunch of all of it. And Resurrection was known as being the cushiest. We called it Club Res. And I was so excited to match there because I knew I was just about to have a 1-year vacation. So thank you to the program director for accepting me. He's a great guy. Dartmouth grad. That's probably why I got it, to be honest. And then finally, before we wrap up, every year, we go around for Thanksgiving, we go around the table and everyone talks about what they're thankful for. And how could I not always every year thank my amazing, incredible, brilliant, hardworking, loving wife, Lady Glaucomflecken, for saving my life and being the amazing person that she is, the amazing mother, the amazing wife, the amazing person, advocate, educator, all the hats she wears, organizer, uh, matriarch. I don't know what else you can say. Like I mean, I'll just focus on the cardiac arrest stuff that you guys know, like the saving my life, and all the things that's allowed me to do, and like being there for the family, but also building up this career, because none of this would have happened if it wasn't for her. And so I'm thankful every day for her courage to do chest compressions on me. It's a hard thing to do. I'm a big guy, and she did it. She did it well. And so she's incredible. And I don't even mind that I don't win arguments anymore. That's what happens when your wife saves your life, That's okay. That's okay. She's incredible. So thank you, Kristen. I don't even think she listens to Knock Knock I. So you guys should like send it to her, find out, tag her on social media, other places, be like, hey, you know what? Your husband said something really nice about you on the podcast. Maybe I'll get some husband points. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, that's not what this is all about, folks. This is just, it's giving thanks. It's and in a selfless way. So thank you, Kristen. You are the most special thing in my life, you and the girls. And thank you to all of you, my wonderful followers, my wonderful listeners, however you consume my content, the people that watch my videos, and show them to your students. I love hearing that too. I got that over the weekend. Some people are like, when my students come on the palliative care rotation, I always show them your palliative care video. So I think that's great. And so I wouldn't be able to do all of this stuff without all of you. So thank you for being with me along all this journey, and listening to me ramble on about giving thanks on Thanksgiving. And I appreciate you. I really do. And here's to another year of content and fun and jokes and education and eyeballs. That's Knock Knock I. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Will Flannery, also known as Dr. Glaucomflecken. Executive producers are Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Burke. Editor engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. We'll be back next week with some more eyeball stuff. I'll get back into it. All right, this is just like a little break, little detour. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday season, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Knock, knock, goodbye.
Hey, Will,
Hey, what's up?
I've been thinking the U.S. healthcare system, it needs some improvement.
Yeah, there's room for improvement. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's a confusing, scary place for everybody involved.
Absolutely.
Physicians, families, patients, everybody.
Everybody. And I've experienced it from both sides, right? I'm a physician. I've also been a patient. So I wanted to use my platform to give people practical education, really the only way that I know how, by making jokes. So Dr. Glaucomflecken's really fun and super uplifting guide to American healthcare is out, and it's a free resource that includes all my videos from the 30 Days of Healthcare series, alongside deeper explanations, also reliable facts, emphasis on reliable.
Yes.
All right. Figures, numbers, insights into how each of us can fight for a more humane, better healthcare system. Also, it has jokes.
Did you mention the jokes?
I did. Jokes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely jokes.
Well, this guide is great for anyone looking to learn more about U.S. healthcare, but especially if you are experiencing it from the clinician side for the first time.
That's
We
right.
really hope you'll check it out.
Get the free guide sent straight to your inbox by signing up for our mailing list, glaucomflecken.com/healthcare. Enjoy. Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen, or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts, or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Hope you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.